Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you've had an amazing week so far. And I'm so excited to be back on with another collective reading and energy update. First of all, I just wanted to share a huge thank you with all of you here. I think something about the holiday season always makes me a little bit more nostalgic and gets me kind of in my feelings a bit more than usual. And I don't know if any of you can relate to that, but it's had me thinking a lot about how grateful I am to have this community here and how supported I felt in my own journey and how grateful I am to be able to come on here and do these recordings. And I really hope that this has been a space where you've been able to feel supported as well, because I feel like this virtual community here is just so valuable. I really love reading through all of your comments, even though I know that I'm not always the best at responding to all of them, but I do often read through them and smile because there is just so much love and support and positive energy. And I really love hearing about the things going on in your world and your life, and really all of the ways that you are shining your light and positively impacting the planet and creating and sharing your voice with the world. It's so beautiful and so inspiring. And I'm just really excited moving into the future to find new ways to connect even more as this community that we have here. So I wanted to just start off the reading by saying that, and also that for those of you who do celebrate the holidays and put a lot of effort into that, whether you are preparing to socialize with family or people that you don't necessarily see that often, whatever you've kind of been doing or the level of busyness or chaos that might be in your life, I really hope that you are finding time for yourself and remembering that you really deserve that care and that support and that love that you're giving to so many other people. So I wanted to just start the video with that message, and I am going to go ahead and shuffle the energy oracle cards here. So as always, if you would like to contribute your energy in a stronger way, I do recommend liking the video and subscribing to the channel, as this does tend to allow me to channel more specifically for you, both here in this video and in future reading videos as well. Also, I would love to hear how you've been enjoying some of the new content that I've been creating. I've definitely been posting a lot more the last couple days, and I feel that this has been kind of a mere reflection of something that's been happening more broadly in the collective as we're closing out 2024 and heading into the new year. There's been this kind of culminating sense of momentum building energetically. So I'm curious to know if you've been feeling that as well in your own life when it comes to your own passions, your own goals, dreams, things happening in your life. And here we have, of course, the Temple Path card in the upright position. So whenever I see this card in a reading, I always just want to say you're on the right path, because that's always how the energy behind this card feels. For some reason, I'm getting kind of teared up, and I'm not sure why this emotionally charged energy is coming through. Maybe this is reflective of how some of you have been feeling. Maybe you've been feeling extra emotional lately without knowing why. And with the community card here in the upright position, yeah, I'm picking up that, especially with the holidays, for those of you who celebrate, you might be around people that you don't normally socialize with or don't see that often, connecting in with different forms of community, different social kind of groups, so to speak. And that may actually be bringing up some of this emotion, even subconsciously for some of you listening, especially if you're around family members that you don't see very often, because sometimes when we're around people who knew and connected with a past version of us, of ourselves, it can trigger these emotions internally that almost resonate with that past version of us, even if it's a kind of skin that we've shed, if that makes sense. Here I have the goddess of the moon in the upright as well. So I have to say there's actually a different kind of message coming out as well from this community card that isn't so much related to the now, but to actually what you're shifting into, what you're manifesting. I keep getting the name Victoria for someone, which could also be a place, of course. But with this community card and the temple path and the goddess of the moon kind of all linking together, I'm getting this powerful sense of you having really aligned with this higher version of yourself. Again, you're really on the so-called right path here, although of course there's no right or wrong. But when I say that, I just mean you're living so authentically that it's naturally aligning you with a very high vibrational reality that I'm referring to here as the right path, a very high vibrational timeline, your authentic core soul timeline. And as a result of that, this seems to be allowing you to radiate this confident signal of authenticity that is calling in your soul family, that is calling in people who are similar to you on a soul level. I'm hearing the right ones can hear you when you're fully connected to your authentic self. And that kind of cliche message is coming through around how you have to allow yourself to be your most authentic self, to be your unique self, so that the people who are really meant for you can recognize you, so they can find you and connect with you. And of course, when you do show up as that authentic self, there are going to be people who can't necessarily connect with you in that energy or who may not align with you. But that's actually a beautiful thing, because you're then one step closer to connecting with the people who really can support you when you are your most authentic and your most empowered. And of course, I see you in that most empowered state with this goddess of the moon card here. Now, I also am getting the happy family card. So I feel as well, almost as a sort of byproduct, let's say, of this energy that you're stepping into, maybe a somewhat unexpected byproduct here, is that you're actually stepping onto a very harmonious love timeline. Now, what I mean by that is you are only holding the space for truly harmonious, mutually supportive connection. Now, that also means I'm getting the letter initials JERFY. Those could be in someone's name here. But this means that at times, yes, for some of you listening, you may have been alone, or you might currently be alone, romantically speaking. But even if this is the case, know that this is because you actually are on this harmonious love timeline where you are holding that space for romantic connections that are truly balanced and harmonious, rather than being distracted or entangled with, caught up in relationships that would block you out from being able to receive that kind of love when it's ready to come in. Now, for others of you, of course, you may be in some form of romantic relationship or connected with someone in some way. And I just get this sense that there is this feeling that the only thing that can really exist long-term in your reality when it comes to love and romance is something that's truly harmonious and truly mutually reciprocated and balanced here. It's like this automatic boundary has been set up in your love life where nothing less than that can sustain in your energy. So if you've noticed romantically, if you're in the dating world, that many people have actually been repelled out of your life recently, this is actually a positive sign because it means that you fully aligned with this new timeline in love that is attracting in only connections that are truly supportive. And I'm getting supportive in a very physical, tangible, 3D way as well, regardless of the spiritual label on the connection, which, by the way, collectively, we've been shifting into places where the label on the connection is becoming a lot less significant. In the past, we spent a lot of time deep diving into kind of splitting hairs over exactly what kind of soul contract we have with a particular person, which of course can be deeply fascinating and interesting and sometimes even very helpful because it can confirm what you already know. But I feel for the person I'm speaking to here, you're actually reaching this point where it's almost like, I don't really need to define this. I don't really need to label this because I know how it feels and I know how it's showing up for me or not showing up for me in the physical world. And there's a lot of activated sacral chakra energy involved with this as well, connected to the idea of really allowing yourself to enjoy the present moment, to enjoy the unfolding of your life, or in this case, your love life, in the sense that regardless of what kind of spiritual connection something is, if it's not showing up for you in the now and supporting you in your physical human form in a tangible, visceral way, it feels like you're apathetic towards it. Again, regardless of the spiritual label on the connection. I'm getting the words learning to be human. That almost feels like a book title for some reason. Maybe that is a book, but if not, maybe someone here is a writer or an author. I'm going to actually go ahead and look that up really quick because now I am so curious if that actually is a book. Let's see. Yeah, there actually is a book called Learning to be Human. Sometimes living in the shadows is the safest place to be, or so you would think, but you'd be wrong because living in the shadows is what makes you a victim. Wow, that felt so powerful. So I'm getting a wave of chills just reading that kind of synopsis of this book. I've never read this book, but wow, okay, so it's almost like someone here listening has been living in the shadows, maybe victimized by something, whether it's an internal dynamic, a kind of relived trauma or an internal energy blockage that kept playing out, or whether it was an external force or person in your life that was somehow manipulating you or controlling you or victimizing you in some way. But I feel as though someone who's been living in the shadows is coming into the light, learning to be human. And when I said that without reading the book title, really what I was thinking is learning how to enjoy the human experience, how to play and create and show up for yourself in this physical, tangible earth plane without constantly needing to overanalyze or be in your head, because it's so natural when you are someone who is as spiritually evolved as you are and who has been through so many different lifetimes. I'm definitely speaking to a soul who is, I'm getting the word celestial, someone who has always been a deep thinker. And people may have even kind of teased you about this, about how serious you may have been, even as a child, how deeply you've contemplated things and how rich of a relationship you have with your own mind, your own inner world. But at times this can cause you to hermit yourself and to prevent yourself from enjoying being human, enjoying this physical earth plane that you incarnated on, not just to be soul, but to be a human, to be a physically embodied soul here having this human experience. And I'm just getting the sense of someone unraveling that programming around needing to overthink and overanalyze and actually allowing themselves to be more in the moment, to play, to have fun, to laugh more, to create, to let their inner child lead the way. And this is so beautiful. It's such a sweet unraveling taking place within your energy that you're feeling then as a result of that energetic unraveling in your own emotions, and that you're seeing play out in your life. So it's very interesting with that word celestial coming out here. I wonder if that has kind of a special definition for us. So it can be defined just as supremely good, but it can also, of course, be related to astronomy. Wow, okay, so it can also mean belonging or relating to heaven, or what we could think of as the higher dimensions, the spiritual plane. So when I was saying that you are bringing up this word celestial, I'm also getting earth angel, that you belong to the heavens in the sense that you belong to the spiritual realm. You are so spiritually connected that at times that feels more so like your identity than this human form that you've taken on here in this lifetime. And again, that's just another byproduct of being someone who has such an evolved soul. But again, the message coming through here is, I'm hearing the celestial becoming grounded, the earth angel being able to enjoy the human experience while still being that angelic being that you are. And I'm not sure why all of this is coming through here, but this just feels essential for someone to know. And maybe you felt that shift in your own life here. Now, interestingly, we got the Deceit card, the third eye chakra, and door to romance in the upright position. So a romantic door here is opening. I'm seeing a long dark hallway and then a door just creaking open at the end of the hallway with some light coming through it. But I feel there's significance to the fact that this hallway is so dark. This dark hallway may represent this element of illusion when it comes to this door opening in love, and the fact that only your intuition can guide you through the illusion here and allow this new romantic door to open, or allow you to move towards that door that already has opened or is opening. I'm seeing something about a candle here. Okay, I heard hold a candle for me, which I believe is something people say that means wait for me. Let's look up this phrase. I feel like this is one that I should actually know, but let's look into it more deeply. So, okay, I got this wrong. It actually means to compare something or someone to another, usually in a negative way. Ooh, okay, so in love, someone's thinking that someone else can't hold a candle to you, or nothing can hold a candle to you. And that might be one of the romantic doors opening for some of you listening. Of course, in these readings, I do pick up many different threads of energy. So I always say only take the messages that truly connect and feel aligned for you personally. But I am picking up a very specific thread of energy here from someone who feels as though no one can hold a candle to you. Maybe there have been specific people in this person's life that they found themselves just constantly comparing to you and feeling as though anything else, anyone else always falls short. This person is feeling very restless. There's almost an urgency here to want to communicate, but I'm hearing to say what to say. It's like they are urgent to say something. This is someone who, it's almost like I see someone knocking on someone's door, but then the person answers the door and they're completely tongue-tied. They don't even know what to say. It's like they want to do some huge romantic gesture or communicate something major here, but they don't even know what they're trying to communicate. They haven't even made up their mind about what they're trying to say. This does have the feeling of someone kind of coming in at the last minute in a way too. With the indecision card here, why is this person so indecisive? Okay, it's more so being stuck on a future with you that currently isn't happening, or that they aren't currently on the trajectory of, but that they can still sense with every cell of their being, because it's a timeline that exists out there that's almost like playing itself out. I have to say, I know this is a really strange message, and I don't know who this is for, but I feel like I'm picking up on someone that you actually currently have a parallel life with, which I don't think I've ever even really used the term parallel lives on the channel. I don't really think I've dove into that or discussed it. So it's interesting that's coming up here. But I'm actually getting the feeling that when I talk about parallel lives, it's essentially another timeline that is currently playing itself out in real time in a way that you can sense and feel very viscerally, but that in our current physical 3D reality, in our current timeline, it's not happening. So with these connections, it's different from getting past life flashbacks. Oftentimes with these individuals, they are people from our past. I'm getting so many chills around this. I don't know what connection this is, but it feels very intense. So this oftentimes happens with people that we dated or romantically connected with in the past. And what happened is, when we chose or they chose to disconnect physically from that connection, in certain cases where there was already a very strong energetic trajectory towards union, towards the two of us being together this whole lifetime, what will happen is that timeline will split off and continue to play itself out, even though in this physical current timeline, we aren't living or experiencing that. It was such a strong potential that momentum doesn't just cease to be because one or the other of us chose to disconnect from it. This especially happens in relationships that end very suddenly. So it doesn't often happen if there's kind of that slow wind down in relationships, those kinds of relationships where you both feel it's going to end, or you both become kind of apathetic. It almost plays out its own momentum and winds itself down in a natural way. This type of parallel life thing that we're talking about here doesn't tend to happen in those kinds of connections. When it tends to happen is when one person or the other cuts off very suddenly, but there was already a very strong momentum to move forward together, and it was mutual. Both of you had this mutual desire and this mutual vision of a future, and then it was cut off abruptly, or you were split off abruptly onto a different timeline. That momentum continues to carry itself on, and you have these basically parallel versions of yourselves that are continuing that relationship and playing out that momentum that the two of you tried to disconnect from. And that is why, again, as opposed to having past life flashbacks, you'll actually get parallel life flashbacks when this is happening, where you will see within your mind's eye, or at times get these flashes of being with this other person, almost feeling as though it's real and happening, where like in this lifetime, again, it's not like a past life thing. It feels like it's happening in this life, even at this particular age or phase of your life. And yet it's not happening in the physical realm. You may even notice with these parallel life situations, you will actually have dreams about these glimpses or moments that you are with this other person. And this can happen very infrequently. It doesn't have to be something you experience all the time. For example, you might get a dream once a year or once every few years where it's just this very powerful, emotionally charged glimpse into this parallel lifetime that's currently occurring between you and that other person. So all of that is to say, I feel as though you are having a parallel life with this particular person. So it makes me think it's someone from your past, and things may have ended very abruptly with them. And so the pull that they're feeling towards you is because they're sensing that there is this parallel timeline where the two of you never stopped connecting, where you continued connecting and being together. I'm even getting the word married. So maybe you're married or really, really close on that other timeline. The confusing thing about parallel lives, and there is so much that we could talk about regarding this now that the floodgates are open. I've never talked about this before, but now all of this information is coming through. So maybe we can put this in a different podcast video, since I have been doing more of those lately on the channel. Let me know if you want to hear that. But this person is feeling a pull to you very, very strongly. And this is also why they feel energetically and emotionally as if the two of you have had an active connection going this whole time, even if, again, you haven't been communicating or you haven't seen each other. And that's what I was about to say is another really strange part about parallel lives is you will feel like that person is somehow still connected to you or in your life, even if you do not speak to them, even if you haven't spoken to them in years. You will have this feeling. By the way, I keep kind of veering off, splitting off, but this isn't just restricted to romantic relationships. You can have this in friendships. For example, if you have a group of friends that you have some kind of close bond with, even maybe soulmate connections platonically with, and someone from the group, or maybe you choose to disconnect very suddenly, that friendship group dynamic can continue to live on a parallel timeline, and you can catch glimpses of this, or even, again, feel as though these people are still very familiar to you, even if you're not talking to them. So this can be very emotionally complicating. And let me know in the comments if you feel you've ever experienced parallel lives, either in a friend context or with maybe romantic partners from your past. I'm so fascinated to hear if this idea connects or resonates with anyone here. I'm hoping it helps to clear up some emotional confusion that you might have at times in your life around these kinds of situations. But what I'm getting from this person is their higher self and their guides are actually pushing them to attempt to merge with this parallel life where the two of you are together. And they actually have this desperate desire to merge into that parallel life, but they have no idea how to do it, meaning they want to, in their mind, get things back on track, get back to that timeline that the two of you or one or the other of you chose to disconnect from, so that the both of you can be together. I mean, this person has thought all the way through to a physical union. They want to be physically together with you, whatever that means for you, whether it's a marriage, having a family, being in a solid relationship. This person wants that consciously, but they have no idea how to get back to that timeline. I also have to say that I feel in some cases it was this person who actually chose to disconnect from that timeline. And I know that we're getting so specific with this. This might just be for one or a few people, but I have to say, I'm hearing that the moment this person disconnected from that timeline was a moment where you really needed support, love. You needed that person to stand by your side, and you were going through something. And instead of meeting you with love and with support and with we're in this together kind of energy, this person met you with apathy, or they felt like it was too chaotic, or they got scared and they chose to disconnect. They chose what felt more logical to them. I'm also getting there may have been people around them who convinced them to step away from you because you were going through something that was really emotional or chaotic, or you were going through something very intense in your life, and this person may have had people around them advising them against following their heart, which their heart was telling them to support you, to stand by your side, to continue that timeline. But I feel they essentially disconnected the two of you from that union timeline I'm hearing when they met you with apathy, when they should have met you with love in a particular moment. And I don't know again, who this is for, how this is connecting. But that's why they've been stuck on you ever since that moment, because they tried to go off on their own more logic-based timeline is what I'm hearing, where they followed the advice of people around them, and it may have made more logical sense from a conscious perspective. But now they're wanting to just throw logic out the window because they're realizing it didn't matter how logical that other timeline was or that other pathway was. If it led them away from you, it wasn't worth it to them in the end. Because again, no one can hold a candle to you. They've been looking for aspects of you in every single person that they've been meeting or connecting with since, and that repetitive pattern of finding themselves in a relationship with someone else and then realizing it's not you has led them to this point where, again, they're desperate to merge the both of you back onto this union timeline that they chose to disconnect from in the past. Now, I warned you that was getting very specific, and it did. So I know this reading will not be for everyone. I will try to indicate in the title and the thumbnail of the video some specifics around this so that you can be drawn to this if this really is for you. And of course, only take it if it does connect for you. But I feel that through that period of time in your life that was very chaotic, ultimately, this actually was divinely planned to help you really step into your true power, really start listening to your intuition and manifest your dreams in life. It's like you had to go through this chaos to align with your, what my guides sometimes call your dream timeline or your manifestation timeline. But this person chose their logic and wasn't willing to go through the chaos with you. And now that you've reached this dream timeline or this manifestation timeline, even if you're not seeing evidence of it, by the way, you resonating with all of this is a sign that you have aligned with that dream timeline and you're going to see the evidence of it showing up. But this person has been disconnected from your dream timeline because they chose to disconnect during that period of chaos. And during this whole time, they've been spending a lot of time alone, reflecting deeply on all of this. And it's brought through some really strong realizations of just how much they're feeling for you, that they're very cognizant of. They're very aware consciously of all of this, which, by the way, doesn't always happen in a reading where I can say that the other person is fully consciously aware of what they're feeling. But this person is emphasizing to me over and over that they are sure how they feel about you. They just don't know how to communicate it to you in a way that won't push you away or scare you away. So for whoever this reading is for that has gotten so hyper specific, which, by the way, the fact that it has gotten so specific when I do try to keep these Monday, Wednesday, Friday readings pretty collective, this tells me that this person is very desperate to connect with you, that they're coming through so strongly that they kind of worked their way into this reading and sort of dominated the whole reading. So that tells me that they're thinking of you a lot and really desperately wanting this. So I know that they have more to say. And we're going to be looking into that in the extended Patreon reading. So we're going to be talking about this person's deeper thoughts and feelings towards you, although they've already been pretty forthright about a lot of what they're feeling. So we're going to channel more messages about what they're feeling towards you. But not only that, we're going to look at how they're going to be handling this energy, how they're going to be making a move here or coming towards you, as well as futuristic timeline potentials for this connection based on the current energy. Now, in addition to finishing out what this person may want to say on Patreon, I promise we will also look at other people who may be connecting with your energy besides this person. So even if this dynamic isn't relating, there may be a different thread of energy or a different message for you on Patreon, because I am going to kind of try to set this situation to the side after we channel more into it and really open things up to channel through anyone or anything else that may be connected to you at this time. So the link to join the Patreon community where you get access to the extended Monday, Wednesday, and Friday readings done at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on those days every single week is in the pinned comment and description box underneath the video. Otherwise, I am going to be closing this reading here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you have an amazing remainder of your day, and I will connect with you here again in Friday's reading.